Hi guys, I'm just sitting in my car. As you can see, I've got some sleeping beauties. Oh, not so sleeping beauties back here. We've just had a hard morning out at the mall. I just wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of experiences that we had at the mall. Yeah, that have, I guess, opened my eyes a little bit to what's out there. So the first one was we had to go to the post shop, and the post shop has got two entrances. There's the main entrance and then there's a little side door, and the side door was on our way, it was closest to us. There was two big orange cones outside the side door, but I was so fixated on getting into the post office I didn't really take in the full situation. You could see that someone had been working in the doorway, and there was the big cones. There was no sign saying you couldn't go through, there was no tape across it or anything, there was just, you know, the cones there and sort of evidence that someone was working. So there was sort of a strip right in the doorway, and I stepped over it, but Nathan stepped on the strip, which turned out to be covered in this sort of powdery glue substance. And the man who was working on it just went, oh! And then that was it. He didn't say anything else. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realise, you know, there was no sign or anything. I'm sorry. I pulled Nathan through the door as quickly as I could, and I was carrying Charlotte. And my first sort of thought was, well, immediately I sort of got a little bit defensive. You know, there was no sign there. You know, what right did he have to get angry and annoyed when there was no sign there? But then as I was sort of waiting in line for the post office assistant, I realised he hadn't got angry or annoyed. He'd simply, you know, been like, as he'd realised what had happened, and then he just got on with fixing it. And I sort of looked over at him, and he was working away quietly, just fixing it. He wasn't muttering under his breath or shooting us dirty looks. He was just fixing the problem, and I felt really guilty. You know, we had walked through a door that we shouldn't have walked through. There was cones there, okay, there was no sign, but it was clear that someone was working in that area, and we walked through. We, you know, ruined the work that he was doing, and have caused a whole lot more work for him, and he didn't even get angry or upset about that. We were the ones in the wrong, not him. Yeah, and so I sort of waited in the line feeling really awful, and then when we left, we went out through the other door, and it just kept playing on my mind. So I went to the coffee shop and I bought him morning tea and went back and said, look, I'm so sorry. I'd really like you to have morning tea on me to say sorry for creating all this extra work for you. And he was really touched, and he was like, you don't have to do that, you know, you didn't mean to do it, it was an accident. And I said, yeah, I know it was an accident, but you could have got really angry and you didn't. You know, this was a little boy that walked in it because I took him through the door. You didn't growl at him, you didn't growl at me, you just got on with fixing it, and I want to say thanks and I'm sorry. So here's morning tea. And suddenly this situation that had caused me to feel really defensive and then really guilty suddenly left me feeling quite good about the whole thing. And he was clearly chuffed. He actually had a tear in his eye, and he said, look, thank you very much, you have a lovely weekend. And off we went in our different ways. Yeah, I feel very strongly that I did the right thing to fix the problem that I'd caused, and I'm glad that I did do something to fix the problem that I've caused, and I'm glad that my kids got to see that, because I think it's a really cool lesson that they've now learnt. And then the other thing that happened at the mall as well was, as we were leaving, Charlotte stopped at the automatic doors. In Westfield there's two sets of automatic doors as you leave, and we came through the first set and we were in like a little foyer bit, and then as we went to walk through the next set, she sort of went behind the doors to look at the door, at the pattern on it. And then when I went back to get her, I noticed an old man standing even further back in that little foyer bit. And he sort of turned to Charlotte and said, oh, you need to go out the door that's open, sweetheart. And I sort of said, oh, she's just investigating everything at the moment. And he laughed and walked out the doors with us and sort of said, well, it's funny you mention that because I was doing a little bit of investigation myself. And I looked at him and went, what? And he goes, look, come back in here with me. So he takes us back in to between the two sets of doors, and he says, look at the patterns on the doors. And he goes, when the doors are open, the pictures on the outside overlap and it causes hexagon patterns on the inside. And sure enough, I could see these sort of hexagon honeycomb patterns all down the inside of the door. And he goes, but when the doors close, they disappear. And I waited and waited, and then the doors closed, and sure enough, they disappeared. And then they reappeared when we moved, and the sensors saw us, and they opened again. And he goes, you probably think I'm just wasting your time. Sorry about that. You can go on your way now. But you know what? It was actually quite cool, and I'd never noticed it before, and I wouldn't have noticed if he hadn't pointed it out. And Benjamin will love that. The next time I take Benji to the mall, I'm going to be able to show him how these patterns appear, and he'll be able to start questioning why that's happening and start his little brain ticking, you know, and it will turn into a bit of a science lesson. And it's all thanks to this old man who just happened to, you know, want to share his experience with us. Yeah, and so anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. And I just feel if you're open to these kinds of experiences, and they can pop up wherever you are. But if you're fixated and focused on just doing whatever it is that you came for, and you're not noticing the things around you, then you're going to miss all these cool little things that actually make life pretty great. You know, when you're waiting in line at the supermarket, you don't have to talk to the people in line with you. There's no, you know, there's no obligation to do that. But if you do, chances are you might have a little laugh. You might even make a cool friend. You certainly could, you know, form a contact that could turn into a customer, or, you know, a word of mouth referral for your business. And it will almost certainly make your day a little bit brighter as well, having a laugh and a smile with someone, even if they are a stranger. Anyway, that's my video for the day. Sorry if it was a little bit rambly, but I just felt the need to share those experiences with you guys. And I hope that you have been open to experiences in your day, and that you've had some bright moments caused by strangers that you weren't expecting to have. Thanks. See you next time.